Don't let them intimidate you. That said, nimeona the topic on the space today is the Kenyan culture. And I thought I'd speak about something that irritates me personally a lot. Today I was at Nyayo House. It was my first time there to go and apply for my ID. And I noticed something about the complacency that we have as Kenyans. Right from the gate, the people guiding you are shouting at you. Let's start with that. They are not giving you proper instructions. They are yelling at you about where to go. So the whole situation is hostile from the moment you walk in. Guys are lining up outside. We have booked for these slots, yeah? We do book for we make a reservation online. So you reserve for 11 a.m. You get there before 11 a.m. You queue outside in the sun. There are no seats, yeah, for an hour or so before you can get inside and find somewhere to sit. The whole time, someone is yelling at somebody. It's very disrespectful. And I think we've gotten to a point where we don't even know how to defend ourselves. So we just sit there and let it happen. I watched a lady getting yelled at. She had a baby. She was getting yelled at akiulizwa, we unasonga tu na watu wengine hata ujui kule unaenda. This is a police officer who's, I'm assuming his job there is supposed to give people direction. Yeah? They're not giving people direction. They're yelling and screaming at people. We finally get inside. The people who are serving you, the person who's supposed to be looking through your papers, is also yelling at you. I witnessed so many people being talked down at. Grown people, people's fathers, people getting yelled at from the other side of the kiosk. Direction. Very They're yelling and screaming at people. For government officers to we finally behave get like inside. That. The people and who are serving you, the person who's supposed to be looking through your papers, and let it happen. That should not happen. Yeah, we should not get. I went to the counter personally. I was talked to like I don't even. At some point, I didn't even understand why I was getting quarreled. I gave the lady my papers. She started yelling at me. She said she wouldn't serve me at some point. She said I needed some legal documents. Turns out I actually didn't need any of those things. Nothing. None of the things she was telling me I needed to do was necessary, as I later found out. But we have a certain habit. Before that, I went to Calcare. There was someone preaching inside Calcare. Employees were sitting there listening. I think as Kenyans, we need to start looking within before we start demanding of our leaders to behave a certain way.
And Jamisa, you need to land soon.
Yes, I'm landing. So
At least
my
you have
point
told us
is,
the bad culture.
sorry, I think when we are looking at our problems, let's start looking at ourselves, at what we let people do to us, people in positions of leadership. Let's start with that. I think the conversation should start there.
Sawa, asante sana. Thank you. Thank you for your comments and even the illustrations of the bad culture that we have. So for please mute your mic. Yeah, so when you speak, please maybe give us an aspect of the bad culture, and at least you have spoken to the social part. For most of the time, we have been looking at the bad political culture. So it's good to look at the bad, also the social culture and the religious culture, where we need to change, and also tell us what we need to do. That is very important. What do we need to do as individual Kenyans and generally as the citizens of this country? So there is I believe it is a gentleman called Tei. And Wallace, you can help me with the moderation going forward.
Yes. Tay, you can
Yeah.
proceed. I can't hear you. Or am I the only one who's not hearing?
I think he has disappeared. Let us give it to Mzee Chacha.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this chance, but I'm actually not prepared because I've just joined the the space. I'm trying to navigate through and see which kind of the cultures I'm going to discuss. So I would opt that you go for the
No
kind
problem.
person.
We can call you a bit later.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what I want. Thank you.
I think. Okay. Thank you.
Wallace, we are struggling to hear you. Let us invite Wilson to say something. Wallace Kabwachila. Okay,
Yes,
Valentine. Sawa, Wallace, continue.
Okay. I was. Can you hear me now? I hope I'm clear.
Yes, you are clear.
Okay, I was saying in agreement with the lady who went just before, one of the culture problems has been because a lot of our government institutions have been about favors to the communities that that voted in the coalition. You don't have good people working. People are employed on the basis of nepotism, and therefore they have no obligation to serve you. They feel like they are doing you a favor. So part of the bad culture we've developed in poor service, bad service, rude service is because those are people who are feeling protected by their godfathers, so to speak. Even if their godfather is their community, so they deserve to be in that government location. So part of the bad culture is overflowing from the bad way we've been doing things. So anyway, we can continue. I was adding people, keep requesting for the mic. I'll put you on if you've not spoken yet. So we would like to ask Wilson again, would you like to pick up the mic and talk as I add more people?
Okay, thank you. So for me, I would like to touch on some of the. First of all, let me start by the bad culture that we have in our country. First of all, there is this culture whereby you will find that there are these politicians in our country who play the tribal cards, whereby they try uh, to separate us from our own when it comes to election. And you'll find that it is us who are fighting each other. But now, as time goes on, we will find that when things are hard, they will just come together and eat. But for us, you'll find that we take the pangas, we take whatever that is available, we kill one another. So to me, this means that there is something we are missing, of which from the word go, Morara has been a good example. From the word go, I think the right way now we should cultivate the culture of educating our people to know what is happening in our country. And the only way we can do this is by making sure that maybe we maybe we find some people who can be able to communicate or to link with the community that we are coming from. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I can see Professor Kivuda has raised his hand. Kindly go ahead, Prof. Thank you. Karibu sana.
Asanteni sana. Good evening. You hear me?
100%.
You can hear me.
100%.
We can hear you, Prof.
Oh, thank you. I want to say thank you.
Hello,
for
Prof, we can hear you.
Yes, I want to say thank you for this very uplifting discussion on a very important topic. And I think maybe I can start by saying that in a lot of the discussion that we have had, we are looking at different segments or parts of culture. Like when one talks, for example, about national culture, and in national culture, you love, the culture we are talking about, the politicians, the public service, in the faith sector, in every sector. But there's that overriding national culture. And in actual fact, within our Constitution, Article 10, it says that culture is actually the foundation of civilization. And the constitution is very elaborate in many parts of talking about how we are a nation, how you protect marginalized people and communities, how even, according to, for example, Article 44, people can form organizations on linguistic basis and all that. And therefore, if one talks about the the macro level of national culture to mean the beliefs, the practices, the values, the principles, all that which people have in common, which informs their behavior, which informs how they live together, what they do, how they sustain their communities, including particularly the country. And that's why places like in Tanzania, you have a situation where there is a lot of shared beliefs, ujamaa, in other places Ubundu, Utu, like what was being discussed by I have there was a discussion about somebody going to immigration and they're being treated like they're a stranger, they are that and there is abuse and stuff. In, for example, the Tanzanian situation, that would be very difficult. They would ask, where are you coming from? Or if you begin asking people, what is your tribe? They also now wonder, are you from Kenya? Because that's what they do that. But places like Tanzania, maybe like Rwanda, they are beginning to form a set of beliefs, of values, of practices, of principles, which they share and which animate their behavior. And that is what we have missed in this country, because we have been within, for example, coming from traditional society, where also in those societies you will discover that they have those principles, and they have whatever community before colonialism, people had all those values, and you could, people would share, people would respect, children would, do the proper things, and there was a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that there weren't some things that were negative, but on the whole, people, would share, would love each other, would welcome each other, would do stuff like that. Now, in our situation, we are almost like a country which doesn't have a lot of those shared beliefs, which translate and principles and whatever, which translate into a culture which develops. And of course, cultures are influenced. Like now, if there's a lot of communication, and some of it is because of technology, and that is something that is emerging as part of our culture. There is the question of like what Morara is doing, a question of accountability, saying that now, as part of the Kenyan country, you are going to be asked questions and so on. Now, because of course I don't also want to monopolize, and we were told there is time, if you look at this question, if I can now just zero in a bit on the negative ethnicity. The negative ethnicity was introduced by the colonial time. And in the colonial time, actually, they introduced an identity so that they would say, this particular group, we will put them into the army, we will put them into the police because they are loyal. And then they will tell you are loyal